How's it going, everyone? Livid here with another Destiny 2 guide. Today we'll be going over everything you need to know in order to acquire the Xenophage Exotic Solar Heavy Machine Gun. So let's just jump right into it. The very first thing you should take care of is the initial quest you get from Eris to run through the Altars of Sorrow on the moon. This will unlock the actual dungeon on the moon as a critical piece of the actual Xenophage questline. Just a brief explanation on how the Altars of Sorrow works for anyone who needs it. Simply access the plate where the event is starting. After a brief time, another area with a larger dome of dark energy will spawn, and various hive and nightmares will begin to spawn and make their way towards the initial plate. For every basic enemy you kill, you are awarded +1 second to the timer. Meanwhile, you need to kill the required amount of nightmares shown to progress to the next wave. It just progressively requires more and more nightmares, leading up to the final boss fight at the end. This will complete the Deepening Wake quest step, and result in the dungeon becoming accessible to you from the director. Now, you'll need to go and acquire the actual quest step for the Xenophage. If you head on over to the Enduring Abyss, where you can often find Eris overlooking the pyramid ship each week, there are 4 statues that have since become inactive. When you interact with one, some of the others will ignite, while some may turn off. Simply mess with these a bit until you successfully get all 4 statues to ignite, resulting in a new loot chest to spawn. Accessing this chest will grant you the Journey Exotic quest, with the main task being Emerged from the Dark. Once you have this, head on over to the Anchor of Light to where there once was a node that said you are not worthy. Upon picking up this orb, there are 6 lecterns in total that will be on the map that need to be lit in the correct order. First up, I will put on screen the correct order you will need to activate these in. Now, if you simply just want to see the path you should take to complete the quest, follow along with what you currently see on screen. Upon completing this, you'll receive the Pathfinder portion of the quest, requiring you to find 4 individual fragments within each of the lost sectors on the moon. You will have to clear each lost sector entirely, including the boss, in order to open the exit route that contains each puzzle that will reward you a fragment. Now, Kryolin and I solved all these puzzles ourselves, but thanks to the amazing Guardians over at Raid Secrets, each lost sector puzzle does indeed have its own solution to greatly speed up this process if you access it right from the start. I will show you each of these solutions. It is also handy to know that the symbols will always cycle in the order you currently see on screen here, from left to right. Also, these are the exact patterns that each symbol shot will trigger to change, with the X mark being the location you shoot. For K1 Communion in Anchor of Light, the solution is as follows. Bottom left, bottom right, top middle, top middle. For K1 Logistics in Archer's Line, the solution is as follows. Top left, bottom left, middle middle, and middle right. For K1 Crew Quarters in the Hellmouth, the solution is as follows. Top right, middle left, middle middle, bottom middle, bottom right, bottom right, bottom middle, and bottom middle. And finally, for K1 Revelation in the Sorrow's Harbor, the solution is as follows. Right middle, left middle, middle middle, middle middle, left middle, top middle, bottom middle, and middle middle. Once you have completed all 4 of these rune puzzles, your quest will update to become the Descent. You will need to head on into the dungeon, but the quest specific to the Xenophage will not require you to fully complete the dungeon. Instead, it will lead you to an additional boss fight well before the second main encounter. As a result, while the full dungeon is soloable, this section for the quest is entirely doable by yourself, which is pretty awesome. You'll have to get past the very first encounter, however, to actually progress through all the steps in the quest. In order to beat the very first encounter, there will be 6 glowing symbols above various locations on this tiered section of the dungeon. As a group, we made names for each of these symbols, so feel free to get some sort of pattern recognition going. We always went to the triangle-shaped pattern to start all 3 runs we've completed so far. You will need to kill the Pit Keeper Knight in order to open the door in his area. Once you do so, there will be an accursed sword bearer inside. Killing him will drop a sword necessary for doing damage in different ways to particular boss type enemies in this section and further on in the dungeon. You will also see a string of 3 symbols hanging in his area, and these are the 3 symbols you will need to purge of enemies and the respective majors before moving to the next symbol on that chain. Now for us, we've encountered a Shrieker that you need to block its shots with your sword in order to kill, Wizards that you need to right click to throw a damaging projectile at them, and Knights that die to either melee attacks or a heavy super attack with the sword. Once you've cleared all 3 symbols, make your way to the glowing beam of light that appears and progress further into the dungeon. At some point after this, you will encounter a massive wall of dark doors, each with a small symbol chained up inside their archways. What you need to do to progress your quest is to find the one door that has no symbol above it. You can find this one on the upper left to the top left. A hive rune will be on the ground inside of it. Simply pick it up to progress your quest to the next step. From here, head deeper into the dungeon until you reach the area that has a series of winding tunnels and large invulnerable ogres. For this section of the quest, make your way over to the cliff section in the back part of the map and drop down to the lower ledge. In the center, you will find a plate with runes on it that is interactable. Once you interact with it, a series of platforms will raise up, and at the end is another orb that you will need to pick up and bring with you. Once you have this, make your way along the right side of the tunnels until you reach an area that has hive structures and doors along the wall. You will see the same braziers from earlier on the floor, and they need to be lit in order to open the door near them. Once you do so, a path will open leading to a unique additional boss fight for this quest step, Volmar the Tempted. For this encounter, this is one main mechanic you will need to know in order to beat this boss. On your screen, you will essentially have a polarity display upon picking up the orb in the middle of the room. This polarity not only dictates what type of weapon will only be able to damage the boss, but it also tells you what lectern around the room you need to bring the orb to in order to begin the damage phase. In the entrance to this boss room, there are symbols that display above each of the various polarities as a handy guide. Find the matching plate in the room and light the respective lectern. For us, we had the Shrieker or X style symbol correspond to solar. The square style symbol was kinetic, the triangle or A style symbol was void, and the T or downward triangle symbol was for arc. Upon beating this boss, simply exit the dungeon and return to Eris to collect your Xenophage reward. Now, I also went around and did a little testing with this exotic for a bit to see how it is. Overall, the damage is super low in my opinion for any sort of viable heavy PvE weapon. The shots aren't even able to crit by default without something like Divinity being used. Also, in total, you only get 26 shots. That's just 8 more than Whisper, and you only do about a third of Whisper's damage without Whispered Breathing. So I really can't say this weapon is very viable in PvE, except maybe in the extreme situation of dealing with a ton of heavy solar shielded enemies. Even then, Ariana's Vow would be more viable. Overall, can't say I'm too happy with the balancing of this weapon given the amount of effort to acquire it. And well, that's it everyone. If this was helpful, a like and a comment is always super appreciated. Be sure to check back here for future guides, and let me know if you like the way I cover topics like this. Take care everyone.